It's game time. I'm Kenny Ingram, an ordained minister who coaches college football. And right now, you are listening to the Created to Coach podcast, the podcast created to help coaches who want to make a difference to make a difference. Today, we have a dynamic episode for you all. If you're a coach who truly believes that coaching is your calling to transform lives and impact others, I have one important question for you. How do you know? How do you know coaching is your calling? If this is you and you're a coach who believes coaching is your calling, I need you to stay locked in with me today. Because today we have a great episode diving into this subject matter. So right now, let's talk about it.
Come on, one more time. You know I ain't finna let you get away with that. There you go. Not bad, Tyler. Not bad.
Well, family, I want to thank you for joining us here on the CTC, which is short for Created to Coach. Today, I'd like to welcome you all to our very first episode. And as I mentioned earlier, in this first episode, we want to dive into the subject, is coaching your calling? Is coaching your calling? But before we dive into this subject, with today being our first episode, I think it's important that we will share with you the mission of the CTC. Here, the mission of the CTC is to build a community of coaches who believe that coaching is their ministry to impact players and transform lives. Now, in this community, we want coaches of any level. It doesn't matter what level you coach. It could be from middle school to high school to college to professional. Man, we want coaches of any level. Also, we want coaches of any sport. It doesn't matter what sport you coach. You can coach football or badminton, man. It doesn't matter what sport you coach, man. We want you in this community. Also, it can be coach of a male sport or a female sport. It doesn't matter the gender. We want coaches of any level and any sport to join this community. Now, the important thing is, why do we want to try to build this community? Well, again, it's a community for coaches who believe that coaching is their ministry to impact players and transform lives. Simply put, man, we want to build this community to come alongside you and partner with you to help you do what you're already trying to do. And that's to impact lives and transform lives. So we just want to come alongside you and help you do that. Now, how do we help you do this? We do this in two ways. In every episode of the CTC, we will always spiritually encourage you to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep grinding at the purpose that you are coaching for. And then secondly, and more importantly, we want to practically equip you with things to add to your coaching philosophy and your coaching bag to do ministry even better. So that is the mission and the heart of the CTC. That's who we are. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Now that we have shared that with you all, I do want to ask your help with something. I'm asking you to help us build this community to transform other communities. Now, before you get worried, I'm not asking for any financial contributions. How we asking you to help us is very simple. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you would do that, you would help to build this community that will transform other communities. Now that we have covered that, it's time to get back to the business at hand. And the business at hand is this. Is coaching your calling? Is coaching your calling? I do believe that, man, coaching has a tremendous impact in life. And when coaching is a calling, it has a tremendous impact to transform lives and also transform communities. But in my coaching career, I've heard several coaches to say and mention that they believe coaching is their calling. But it started to become so frequent that it seemed to become a cliche that we just say, and didn't really have any real substance behind it. Well, today we want to dive into this subject with the attempt to add some substance to this matter, to this subject, so that it would be more than just a cliche. So we want to just dive into it, man, and really just get into what is coaching, how is coaching your calling. Now, I do believe that in order to begin, before we diving into this, I think it's important to first start with establishing a working definition for the word calling. So that whenever we mention it in this episode, we'll all be on the same page and know exactly what we're talking about. So here's our working definition for the word calling. A calling is a customized purpose for impacting life. It's your customized purpose for impacting life. It's specifically created and designed for you to make a difference in the world that you live in. It's your customized purpose for impacting life. So whenever we are mentioning, we're referring to calling in this episode, that's what we are referring to. Your customized purpose for impacting life. Now that we have covered and we have established a working definition for the word, now let's get back to diving into the subject. Now, for any coach who truly and genuinely wants to make a difference in the lives of the players and the athletes you coach and those who else you have influence with, if you truly want to make a difference in their lives, I think it's important to first start with answering the question, is coaching your calling? Now, in order for you to see the importance of knowing why it's important to start with if coaching is your calling, in order for you to see the importance of why you should start with answering the question, is coaching your calling, I want to share with you a personal experience of mine that happened when I first started coaching. Early in my coaching career, I was on a staff, man, and I had a veteran coach to ask me 3 questions that will forever frame my coaching philosophy. While on this staff, man, there were several coaches who always was complaining about the circumstances and the conditions of the program. They was complaining about the players. And this veteran coach started to notice how their complaining started to influence how I was going about doing my job. And so one day while we was in the locker room, he stopped me and he said, "Hey, young fella," that was his normal term for me. He would always call me young fella. And I replied to him, I said, "What's up, old school?" Which was my normal term for him. And he said, "Hey, young fella, let me ask you a question." He said, "Why did you start coaching? What did you get into coaching for?" And when he asked me this, I stopped and I thought about it. And then I think I responded to him in the way I believe all coaches respond. I looked at him, I said, "Old school, I got into coaching because I wanted to make a difference." You see, I'm a straight inner city kid. I grew up straight inner city. And whatever I have become, the best of who I am. Now, let me be very clear. I am still a piece of work, man. I'm still a work in progress. But whatever is the best of me, I can always look back and see the impact that sports played in developing me. And then also, man, I can always look back and see the impact that the coaches who coached me in sports, the impact they played in my life. And so me being a straight inner city kid and seeing the impact it had on me, I wanted to be able to give that back to some athletes who was participating in sports, that it would impact them in the same way it did me. So I got into coaching because I wanted to make a difference. Well, family, as we get ready to conclude this episode, I just want to take a moment to share with you some resources that I offer. Just recently, I revised this book that I wrote back in 2020. It's called Interrupting Failure, God's Game Plan to Coaching You to a Better Life. If you are someone who wants to experience personal and professional victory, and you no longer want your past failures and your past setbacks to hinder you from possessing the life you was created to live, man, I strongly suggest you get this book. In addition to this book, I also wrote a workbook, the Interrupting Failure Workbook, to work alongside the Interrupting Failure book. Both of these books can be used for a personal study or a group study. You can find both of them on Amazon. In addition to these books, I also want to call your attention to my website for my company, Mentally Reborn Coaching. On my website, you will see that I offer keynote speeches, professional development for students, for teachers, and coaches in the education arena. I can be booked directly through my website. Well, family, we have come to the end, and I look forward to meeting in this space again. But if you hadn't already did this before we close, I'm going to ask you again to help us build this community. Click on the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notification. Help us build this community that we may transform other communities. Until next time, God bless and be safe.